Not sure. I've got yeah, I am live right now, and I think it's showing this Discord room, but I'm not sure if the audio is coming through. Hey, Mike. Yeah, yeah, twitch.tv/ Lil Pandas plural WTF. Let me send it to you. But we might get some reverb if one of you joins. Let's try that. Oh, cool. And we are live, Mike. Got to give that warning. We're live. We're streaming out to my massive audience of 0 people. Awesome. Mike, do you have any? Do you kind of want me to take the lead on this, or Do you want to sort of lead in the interview? We haven't really talked about it yet. Yeah, geez, I just interviewed Woody. What was it last week? Woody Monday, or was it this week? Yeah, so yeah, we covered a lot. We were mainly talking about noun sounds, .wtf, Woody's prop. Went over kind of Woody's whole career, sort of his YouTube, music, talked a lot about kind of early influences in music and how music and, cutting tracks and mixing and everything is kind of what he does. And he showed off the whole noun sounds thing. He recorded an awesome intro song for me. Um, and I've been so swamped and it's so hard to do post production that I haven't done a whole lot with it yet. But we covered mainly the noun sound stuff, a little bit of TNS, and this for this interview, we were thinking of focusing more on Woody's use of nouns.build, nouns builder. Mike and I won this prop for nouns.build, where we're interviewing builders about the platform and what they've done and kind of walking through sort of what's interesting and exciting to them. And so, yeah, Woody, GM, welcome. Hey, just sorry, quick kind of housekeeping thing. I'm having trouble getting your guys' sound over. Is it possible for you guys to jump on the StreamYard and stay in Discord, just so I can make sure we get the audio, Mike? Yeah, awesome. Can you hear me, Woody?
I don't know if it's gonna work on both, but we can see. Like I'm pretty sure that is it using my mic on both?
I can hear you from one of them. Let me see.
That might have been
Can you
like your
s-
mind. I don't even
I
know.
guess not.
Yeah, I can hear you guys both from StreamYard. Although, actually, Mike, you're muted on StreamYard right now.
Yeah, I'm getting double because I'm hearing it through my Discord also. Let me try to mute my Discord.
But I can hear you both. Woody, so sorry to interrupt the flow there. But you were talking about little toads, and I think Mike was about to jump in.
Okay, I can hear you now.
While Mike gets set up, Woody, I didn't realize you guys are really builders. You're not a little toads to collect toads. You're a little toads builder DAO. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, dude. I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think we necessarily want to collect a bunch of cryptodes, because I don't really see the value proposition in that, other than people buying in to like own a percentage of cryptodes, like if the price goes up, I guess. At that point, it's kind of like a party bid or something. But I think that the building aspect is the main thing that we want to focus on, and just Cryptode's initiatives in general. The reason that we bought um, a Cryptode first, was to have access. Like, first of all, to just show we're serious about what we're doing, and second of all, to really just like be able to put proposals up on chain at Cryptodes, for their treasury, for example. Um, and it's funny because I went over there and I was like, "Yo, can we like delegate our cryptos?" And Modi was like, "I don't know. Like I've never heard of, I've never done that before. I'm not sure." And so I had to go to like, Snapshot and research like how to delegate your toad. And I actually delegated four of my cryptodes that I own to Little Toads, um, DAO. So when we do put a proposal on chain, at Cryptodes, then Little Toads can decide on how to vote, and kind of what to do. So it's an interesting, like I said before, like coming from Cryptodes and going into nouns, and then using what I've learned nouns thus far, um, and applying it to Cryptodes is a really synergistic, and meta thing that's kind of happened, which is cool.
Yeah, it's really. Ooh, I'm getting feedback now. Also, sorry. It's really cool to see these like communities that started as just like NFT editions, whether it's cryptodes or MFers, who we spoke with, Zaug, who started the MFer Builder DAO the other day. It's kind of similar way. You're using the Builder DAO to like energize a community, and kind of reroute it and kind of do something for the builders within that community. It's really cool to see. Are you seeing like a lot of actual cryptode owners coming into the DAO, or are you seeing it kind of like new people enter into the space because of little toads? What do you think is happening?
I think it's just generally like a cross pollination between the two communities, between nouns, and little nouns and all the sub communities, obviously, and cryptodes. Um, you know, the homie Toady Hawk like bought a new nounish, cryptode the other day, and he's been like back in the Cryptodes Discord, which is great to see. Um, and you know, Little Pizza bought a toad. I think he might have bought two toads or something. But I think that it was like the gateway. I don't want to take all the credit for it or anything, but I know Little Pizza like came into Little Toads, and maybe that pushed him over the edge to buy a Cryptoad and become a participant in the Toads community as well. And I just think there's like a cross pollination. I hopefully there's more Cryptodes people that come in that want to learn more about nouns and governance and voting and treasury, allocation of funds and treasuries and that sort of thing. But right now, it's really not spoken about in the Cryptodes. The last proposal that was on chain was like I don't know, June or something, or July. I think it was July of last year. So it's like literally not a lot of building happening. But there's so much cool shit going on all the time in Cryptodes that I just feel like it just takes somebody, like myself, I guess, to come in and organize something that's either a consistent Twitter space or the formation of builders within a sub community like Little Toads that can get the right people together to start really really doing some meaningful, really cool creative shit.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what do you see? What do you see the DAO kind of turning into? What kind of things do you want to see built? There's Nounish. We spoke with Zaug about MFerish. Is there like a toadish culture that you want to kind of like develop here with Little Toads, or what do you see this turning into?
I think if anything, I would love like a success for me. Um, it's kind of two parts, right? Like I think one of them is just a structure. Like I know Cryptodes wants to build and do cool shit, but it's CC0, and they manage the Discord and they tweet, and they don't really have that much energy to be like continuation of the lore story or creating new illustrations. Gremplin does his thing, but like there's just not a lot of building going on. And so like a win for me is like the organization of things. Like let's do a Twitter Spaces every week, and let's get guests on that pertain to Cryptodes and talk about Cryptodes news and stuff like that. And then the second leg of that is the longer term, I think, success is just building this community of people that want to create on the Cryptodes IP and incubating them. And so, I've had a few discussions of cool projects and cool things we can do with a bunch of people from Lil Toads, and it's like, yo, we only have like 1.7 ETH left after we purchased our Cryptode, but how can we make that work and bring something to Cryptodes for a larger funding? Can we trial run something, and prove that it's a cool thing to do and it's a success, and then take that to Cryptodes for a 6-month extension or something like that. And so those are the things that I'm really excited about. It's not necessarily like we want to build something unique within Lil Toads. It's more just like we want to build dope shit for Cryptodes, and Lil Toads is a vessel and a facilitation mechanism to like onboard builders that might be even in the Cryptodes Discord but just don't know about governance, or nounish people who've always wanted a crypto that have a builder mentality. Like the clash of those two different worlds, I think, is what the long term vision that I have is for Little Toads.
Can you give us some background here in terms of what the founder's reward structure is? And we should also say, just kind of quick disclaimer, obviously, none of this is financial legal advice. Mike, I saw I was hovered on one of your crypto, so or Lil Toad, so you own this. Woody, you own this. So everyone just kind of take that with that in mind as we talk about it.
Oh yeah, I am Little Toad number 69.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say this is financial advice, and you should buy a Little Toad. Um, straight from Woody. That's my financial advice, because I think it's a great use of funds. But all jokes aside, it's 1 out of every 10 goes to the founder's wallet, which is essentially a wallet that I own at this point. And I think down the line, what I'd love to do is just get a board of directors, essentially, like people who are really involved in little toads and are passionate about what we're doing over there. There's already a few that I can think of off the top of my head, but down the line, just kind of decentralizing that wallet a little bit and sending it to a multi-sig where, the quote unquote founders or the board of directors um, can propose and vote on Lil Toad's proposals, but also Cryptoad's proposals as well.
I love it. I really enjoy to see just like CCO communities kind of like turning figuring out fundraising mechanisms to kind of continue and grow on top of the already pre-existing community. Do you think we're going to see a lot more of this as time goes on with nouns.build? Do you think it's just a matter of time before a lot more CCO communities start to adopt, and create builder DAOs like Moonbirds and all these other groups?
I think it's definitely a possibility. I will say that it's complicated. In order, like the barrier for entry to get into a DAO, to learn how to even though the builder platform is so easy to use, the barrier for entry to understand what the different components that need to come together to form a DAO and have it function correctly, and the mechanics and all that is like it's so high, right? The barrier to get in, and so it's an interesting thing. Like, do I think this is going to hit mass attention anytime soon? Probably not. But can we tap into, like you were saying, Moonbirds or something like that? I think absolutely. If you get a group of people together that understand the space and understand what a DAO is and how it can and should and optimally will function, then I think that those things coming together can be a great asset. But yeah, I think it's definitely in the right direction. And my whole thesis on the whole entire space right now is just like, how can we sort of tear down these barriers for people to enter, and also how can we think outside of our own bubble, which I think this kind of does, but at the same time, like there's a lot of different DAOs that have been started, but I still feel like there's a glass ceiling that we're all hitting in a lot of regards.
Yeah, you think a lot of the same people are joining all the different DAOs right now, and how do we kind of like bridge out and bring people in to start their own DAOs and other communities that might not be within our kind of like noun-ish bubble? What do you think? Like, what are some solutions there? How do you think we kind of like bridge out?
Well, I think there needs to be some sort of like regulatory clarity first. I know that there's a lot of cautious people that won't even start the formation of a DAO because of tax reasons, and it's not, regulated, or Gary Gensler is going to come and, and wake them up in their sleep and be like a creep about it or something like that. I just think like it's the Wild West, and so who knows what's going to happen with all of those elements, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in the mindset of we need to lessen the yeah, that motherfucker. We need to lessen the barrier, man. Like we should be able to onboard people with an email address or a phone number, in my opinion, right? And then as you learn about NFTs and Web3 and metaverse and DAOs and all these different things, you can, custody your own assets if you want to. You can opt in for the SEC regulations that just got passed or whatever it is, right? Like I think those things are extremely important right now because I feel like there's just a massive fence between what we do every day and what we know. And talking to my sister about it or Joe Schmo about it, right? Not just like the technical aspect of signing up for a wallet and this and that, but like what is an NFT? Like why do I want a picture? Like why do I want a JPEG, And once that thing clicks in their brain, they understand it, they'll want to custody their own assets and sign up and do the things that we do. So I think there's that. And then I also think that just thinking outside of our bubble is like an important thing for onboarding as like a tandem to that is like, thinking outside of our bubble, like nouns are dope, toads are dope, Web3 is dope. But in reality, it's like 0.02% of what is happening on planet Earth, right? And I was actually listening to a space today where with Shopify and ENS, and it was really interesting hearing the Shopify people talk about integrating, wallet sign in and crypto payments and ENS into Shopify, because it's it's just like they basically said on the spaces like, hey, this is like nothing. This for from a consumer standpoint, from a business standpoint, from a there's actually the Shopify article right down there. Um, from a from a e-commerce standpoint, this is basically non-existent, right? Shopify, actually that's not the correct article, but Shopify integrated ENS and wallet login with wallet, but it's interesting when you hear those kind of perspectives of like, you know, the touch points for Shopify and Web3 are basically non-existent, but then we're over here and it's our whole entire world, and so there's like a very sharp contrast to those two opinions, and I tend to lean on more of like the other side of like the general public and the onboarding.
We're early.
Yeah, we're too early though. That's the problem, with being early is just like, you know, um, it's cool. Like we're gonna learn about all the different Ethereum contracts, and we're gonna learn about wallets, and we're gonna learn about all these different Web3 mechanisms and shit like that. But the thing that's actually gonna blow up is gonna be something where you can just sign up with a click of a button, um, and enter your email address, and like have a wallet set up for you that you can further educate yourself and learn how to self custody or whatever. But like most people aren't even going to want to self custody, to be honest. I think that it's it's something that could be automated, but at the same time, like if you have to set up your keys and do all this other crap to set up a wallet to participate in the world, you know, it's going to take a lot of education. I think it could get there, but yeah, man, I don't know. I've just been thinking about that a lot recently, and I don't know why, but I just think it's probably because in nouns we just tend to stay within ourselves, and we tend to like build really cool dev tools, and we tend to like build really cool shit that is useful for governance. But if the goal of nouns is to proliferate outwards and like get the noggles and nouns like on a grandiose stage like the Super Bowl, or other cool things that nouns have done that have been like really big success stories, I think it's just a really interesting perspective of like how we spend the treasury funds and how we do things, like the mentality of bridging the gap between the general public and Web3 should be a really important element.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Um, Onboarding the next generation, it's definitely needs to be an outward approach for sure.
Can you talk, Woody, a bit about what sort of proposals you'd like to see Little Toads Fund?
Yeah, for sure. Like hopefully it just like takes a little bit of weight off of my back. To be honest, like I plan on doing this until that happens, until I can hand it off. But like the Twitter Spaces are a great example. Like I've been doing that every Tuesday for about a month now, and it's dope. Like working with the Noun Square is always great, and but creating the flyer assets, booking a guest, being on the spaces, promoting the spaces is a lot of work. And so hopefully I see that, come to fruition from community members in the future, where it can be like a proposal and people can get paid for their time and we can just keep it going. I think that's a proposal that I would love to see. And also just like um, other proposals for building on cryptodes. Like I've come up with a few ideas with Greta Gremplin and Z, and just coming up with something like we're talking about making a Lil Flies derivative project where Greta Gremplin does all the artwork, and they're these little flies that are like from the cryptodes world, and like we can sell those maybe like a 2K collection or whatever it ends up being, and we can essentially partner up with Greta and do the project and split the revenue with the DAO and the people that worked on the project. And I think that's something that's really cool that maybe hasn't really been explored a lot within DAOs. You know, there's been open editions and stuff like that, but never like a project that was released under a DAO to raise funds specifically for that DAO, which could be something really cool. Other than that, it's just, I want to just see cool shit. Like if there's something that anybody wants to do on the Cryptodes IP, whether it's multimedia, merch, metaverse stuff. I mean, there's an unlimited number of things that I would just love to see, and I would love to have people propose and would love to support.
Very dope. Like a kind of like a drop posal with Greta. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and that's like just community building stuff that I think could really be wonderful moving forward, right? Because if you have a normal a normal project where you're just dropping a collection, the quote unquote utility of that is kind of just like, oh, it's dope. I own this thing and I'm part of this community with the other people that purchase it or might own it. And then if you do it this way, it's almost like an alternate way to get into Lil Toads um, and support Cryptodes at the end of the day, right? So you kind of know what you're buying into, right? You're supporting the artists and the people that worked on the project, and you're also supporting the DAO, which is like, has a pretty clear mission statement on what they want to do.
Could you guys get into a little bit of the lore behind the cryptids? What what resonates most with you? Do you have any cool stories? Do you guys both have, like, for example, a forever toad or specific traits you like? I'd love to talk a bit about some of the art.
Yeah, bowl cuts. I love bowl cuts. My forever toad is a raspberry body with a bowl cut with gremlin eyes. Actually, if you just search super tight vault, you can look at my profile and you'll see like my toads. But the lore is essentially like evil King Gremlin came and like took over. Yeah, that was one of my recent ones. I love that dude. He's flossing. Um, but the one all the way to the right, that's like my dude. Yeah, that's my dude. Um, but yeah, so like Gremlin essentially came to um, the Uniswamp essentially and just started killing toads with these henchmen that he calls Franks, and he banished Colonel Florbin to Gooch Island, and it's funny because the lore is like it's pretty loose, but it's like it's wrapped up in a bunch of different projects. Like if the crypto dick butts are like from Gooch Island, and Gramp I think tapped into that when he was when they were writing the lore, which is super funny. So there's like a synergy there between those two projects. Um, and so yeah, like the toads are essentially just like getting slaughtered by the evil King Gremlin and enslaved or whatever. And then I actually did a project with a group of toads homies, including Chris, PR Guitar Man, who's the infamous Nyan Cat creator. We created a project called GI Toads, which continued the lore where the toads come and fight back with Colonel Florbin, and they fight back against the evil King Gremlin, and they're like strapped with all these weapons, and it's a pretty awesome project. Um, but that's pretty much it, and I think the continuation of the lore is really open and really easy to adapt to, and I think that's part of the reason it works.
And these are obviously CC0. That's where we all know we're all on the CCO train, so that's huge. Are these on chain? It's obviously pixel art.
I don't know if these toads are on chain. I know they flipped some, like, I know there are toads on chain and I think you have access to them, but I don't know how that worked because they were on IPFS and now they're on chain. But I don't know if it's like a separate thing or it's yeah, I'm not quite sure actually.
Cool. And then as you made the art for the Lil Cryptodes, um, were there particular traits you were focusing on or an aesthetic you were going for? Or can you talk us through the creation of your Lil Toads?
Yeah, so initially I was like I had this idea where I wanted to do a Cryptodes DAO and have auctions and stuff. But I didn't know what I wanted them to look like. There had been a couple of ideas, but there was nothing really solid. And there's been, Gremplin has made these like tiny little toads with like very few pixels that have been pretty hilarious in the Cryptodes Discord. There's been a project called Baby Toads. There's another project called Lil Toads, I think, as well. There's Tiny Toads. There's people in the Discord that have been creating kind of tiny renditions of Cryptodes that have been super cute. And then the homie Numo, who's a really infamous pixel artist, just created this Cryptode that was like black and white on one of his notepads. And when I saw that, I was like, oh man, this has got to be it. Lil Toads, and knowing about Lil nouns and things of that nature, it just kind of like clicked in my brain. And so it's kind of the combination of all of those different artists that created all of those little derivatives. And then essentially I just took the outline of a toad and got it down to a point where I liked it. And there's different body styles, obviously, like the alien and the robot and stuff like that. But I just took that and I took all the original Cryptodes artwork and Lil-fied it and just shrunk everything and tried to make it fit as best as I could. And this is what we came up with.
Yeah, you did a really, really good job. How is it deploying the art on the builder? Any updates or features you'd like to see there?
Yeah, so the artwork is a few things I would love to see is like currently there's no rarity sliders, right? So if you upload the artwork layers, you're basically just going to get a random selection of whatever folder, no matter what the rarity is of those different layers that you would want. And so what I had to do was I had to sort of create a blank layer for layers that I wanted to be more rare. And the hoodie is a good example on the Cryptode, where you want that to be a rare asset that shows up in the random generations. And so what I had to do was create a bunch of these empty layers that didn't have anything on them, duplicate them a bunch of times, but it still wasn't enough, right? Like I think we're still getting too many hoodies, we're getting too many certain backgrounds and things like that. And so what I'm in the process of doing is talking with Zora and the builder team to see when they're going to implement essentially being able to change the artwork out, because I went to a separate website and printed out like 5,000 toads and went through them all to make sure they were, there was nothing messed up with them, and there was like you can adjust the rarity on these third-party websites if you want. So it's kind of a catch-22, right? Because you want the layers so you can have the metadata, but if you get a better result if you use an external site to generate the NFTs, but then you can't use the metadata files. So those are a few things that I think that they should and are already working on, that I'm sure they'll be changing in the near future, but that's been the experience thus far.
Yeah, totally agree. Definitely need to be able to incorporate rarity in some sense, especially if you want to maintain the original kind of essence of the Cryptode collection.
It doesn't surprise me though that the nouns.build team maybe hasn't prioritized that so much, given that nouns is not based on rarity. but I really hadn't thought about that, how you're when you're plugging into a collection that has rarity, that's important. Um, yeah, it's kind of a different style of collection.
Yeah, totally. I would love to see like limited edition layers as well. Just be able to slot in a trait for maybe like 100 tokens or something, and then just have it disappear to kind of you know have it be like a scarce trait only for a certain amount of time or for the holidays or something.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. There's a bunch of stuff. I mean, you can basically go to like the NFT dash generator.art website, and I think if those features were implemented that they have there, as far as like selecting an asset, dragging it to be like rare, legendary, or picking the percentage if you wanted to. Because like you were just saying, the problem is if even if I go and generate these like 5,000 or 4,000 toads or whatever it's going to be, when I change the artwork out, there's a very small percentage, but still possible that we're going to get the same one twice from that batch. You know?
Yeah, totally, totally. There's some DAO upgrades sitting in our queue right now. Did you read through those? Do you know what those are about?
I read through them briefly. I know that there's a drop mechanism in there for being able to allocate tokens to builders and stuff like that. But I haven't really read into it too much. I think that was the only thing that they were talking about.
Very cool. Yeah, no, it seems like they've been rolling out different upgrades. They're definitely working on the tool. I think the Zora team's done pretty good. Um, do you think are there any other features you think that are like missing, things that you'd like to see in the platform or anything like that?
No, I think it's pretty good for the time being. Other than like figuring out how to onboard the general public into it, like and maybe some educational stuff. There was a really cool builder, I guess, fork that was built that is for audio. That I've been chatting with the dude who created it. I think it's his name is AVP. But yeah, like it's just like it's just like Builder, but it's a fork of Builder, and it's for audio, which is super cool because I don't think currently you can use audio. I don't think you can use GIFs, um, and things of that nature, right? Like it's just PNG files that you can use in the Builder right now. But if we open that up to audio and other forms of multimedia, I think it's a win for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to see other types of media. Similar to, I mean, you could load other types of media into Zora, so I imagine that's coming for nouns.build in the future, but maybe not. Um, or maybe something, yeah, people need the fork and kind of build. I'm excited. Is somebody forking nouns.build to do
Do
audio?
audio? Yeah, I think it's called rhymes.wtf, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and AVP is the dude that built it out and forked it. I've been talking to him a little bit about how we can do something cool. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing because then if you do audio, you can do different layers. Could you do some sort of MIDI implementation? And like you could pretty much the world is your playground at that point if you start incorporating other forms of multimedia.
I'm thinking of like Gabriel Haynes screaming, and you could like chop up his scream into a bunch of different kind of versions.
What, the machete guy?
Yeah, he just gets on stream and he just yells. But I know, Woody, you're talking more about traditional mixing type audio NFTs, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's a place for everything, right? Like, what if you were a Foley company where you essentially create the sounds that are in movies and television, punching and sound of the ocean and yada yada yada. Like you could essentially create a library of sounds like that, and use Builder to like include all the different sounds that have been created by the DAO in the Builder, and then fund more sounds that can be used by people who own the tokens or something like that. I think it's pretty limitless.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit more about Lil Toads? I know you all have a Discord, right? And you said there's the Twitter Spaces. Where else can people find more info? Where can they kind of join and meet up?
Yeah, on Twitter, just at Lil Toads DAO. We have a Discord. Come in and hang out. There's a general chat for the public, and then there's verified chat for people who own Lil Toads tokens that you can talk about. There's like proposal ideas and voting and different things in that. And yeah, like I'm around. There's people in the Discord all the time, hanging out and just vibing and ideating and coming up with fun stuff to do. So any questions, I'm around, and the homies are always in there, or we're on Spaces on the Noun Square every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Lil Toads Tuesdays.
Very cool. What one piece of advice would you give to someone who's joining a DAO? Like if they have no DAO experience.
If they have no DAO experience, I would say just like get ready for a lot of work. Like you should be really passionate about whatever you're doing. I think that's already a prerequisite to starting any project, but I think more so with a DAO. Like if you're starting a DAO with yourself or a group of people, it's not like an NFT project where you have income coming to yourself. It goes into the treasury wallet, and so you just have to be sort of prepared for the time commitment, the energy commitment to the formation of a community, and really the management of a community and onboarding people into it and answering questions and being a leader. I think there's a lot that goes into it, so it's definitely worth asking people about it, hitting up people that have started DAOs, joining DAOs yourself, and learning about governance and what it takes. Because I started this, I was like still on the fence about it, to be honest, because it's a shit ton of work, dude. Like to actually do this, it's like a shit ton of like work, energy, and money, to be honest. Because it's like, who's gonna buy liltoads.com? Who's going to upkeep the Twitter? Who's going to pay for gas fees when it's been frozen for a few hours because nobody really wants to settle because it's like almost the same price as the token or the auction was. So like there's those things where I'm like spending upwards of sometimes $25 a day on just settling gas fees for Lil Toads, which is probably not the smartest thing to do with the bang for your buck aspect of my life. But again, it's like it's something that I'm passionate about, and so it makes sense for me. But I would just say, like, for anybody else, don't think that it's just a few clicks of the button. I think BuilderDAO kind of makes it seem really easy, but in reality, when you start the BuilderDAO, that's when the work actually starts. It's not beforehand or when you're creating the BuilderDAO layers and deploying the contract. It's like you start the work when you do deploy the contract and start managing the community and onboarding people and stuff.
That's an awesome explanation. Thank you for that.
I keep looking for the damn Discord emojis, but they're not here. Like the hearts, how you can just like click the emojis and yeah, it's much needed.
Yeah, that's we got to talk to the StreamYard devs for sure. Maybe a toad. I end up using a toad emoji all the time in Discord. Awesome, Mike. Do we have anything else? for Woody before we wrap up?
I mean, we could always topic shift with Woody and continue to ask him a million questions about everything he's got going on. But yeah, as far as my questions involving little toads and Builder DAO, I think that pretty much covered it. This has been really awesome. We covered a lot. I think we got a lot of good insights.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. I just wanted to shout out Modi, Loaf, OG, the GI Toads team, the Cryptoads team, Gremplin, everybody that's been an active participant in Cryptoads. There's a lot of them out there, but it's a great community, and very much looking forward to just keeping on the vibes going and keep building on the Cryptoads IP, because it's definitely something special, and it's going to be really fun.
Thanks, dude. Can't wait to see where this goes for sure. And be a part of it. I've got a couple little toads myself. So yeah, can't wait to see all the lore and all the cool projects we all come up with.
Super Tight Woody, hey, got one more question. I want to play you out here. Obviously, Woody at Super Tight Woody on Twitter. Your noun sounds proposal did not pass. What's kind of your current state of mind in terms of what's next? Where are you putting your focus? What what can people expect from you kind of in the nouniverse? What's next? Are you going to go back on chain, get some feedback? Are you going to shift, or what's your current outlook?
It's been a crazy week, to be honest. The Noun Square proposal passed, which I'm super excited about. I'm a big, part of what we're doing over there, so obviously excited about that. But it kind of threw me, to be honest, when Noun Sounds didn't pass, or not that it didn't pass, but it was like overwhelmingly kind of just not not liked, I guess. So I kind of question where the DAO is headed, to be honest. And it's kind of this weird thing where I have to do some self reflection, because I don't want to be this like bitter dude who's just like, oh, my prop didn't pass, so like I'm pissed. But it really like we put so many nounish elements in there, from working with Save the Music, who's a wonderful nonprofit, um, to working with Ghostface Killer, who's like part of the Wu-Tang Clan that has massive reach all over the globe. And we thought that like this proposal was the shit, for what Noun's goal is, right? Is to proliferate and market and distribute the meme of nouns, and like promoting the brand of nouns across the board. And it's tough. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's tough to take one on the chin, but we did get some feedback. But again, I don't know if we want to come back with this proposal, because I feel like it was really good, and I don't think people understood it, which I don't know if that was my fault in the communication of it, or that people aren't in the music industry and they need to see that Ghostface has over 100 million Spotify plays in his top 10 songs that he has on there, or that Wu-Tang they have a TV show about them on FX, and they have a documentary about them, and it was funny, I was watching the Super Bowl, and another member of the Wu-Tang Clan, Raekwon, was like in a Super Bowl commercial. I was just like, this is fucking crazy, dude. So it's, again, I think I just need to do some self-reflection. I love nouns. I love everybody in nouns, but sometimes shit doesn't work out, and you just have to figure out how to adapt and how to pivot, and hopefully we can come up with something that works for both sides. But yeah, I was really surprised, to be honest. Like I thought that spending money on spending, what was it, 60 something ETH on doing a collaboration with Ghostface Killer, from a proliferation standpoint, would be like 100x some of the internal governance or internal, more technical things we're doing that really won't ascend outside of our bubble. So Yeah, man, it's tough, but we're gonna keep it moving, and just shout out to everybody for the time and energy, for the feedback, for the love, for the support, and for everything.
Yeah,
For
keep your
sure.
head up.
I will say I've had my first big proposal got soundly defeated, and it's tough. It's tough to take that on the chin. It's really tough because, and I think it's getting harder and harder, where it's really hard to get good feedback before going on chain because attention and time is so scarce. And then even when you go on chain now, I mean, if you go up to big nouns, there's a lot on chain, and it just seems like every day there's more. Let's see. There's one, two, three, four, five. There's five on chain props right now, two coming online. And there's just a real kind of scarcity of attention on these proposals. Um, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, as we grow, there's going to be more and more proposals, coming on chain, which is why we are, looking into and funding some of these governance things. And I think they're definitely needed for sure. But I think delegation is always a great option if you're a nouner and you don't have time to look at all these proposals and dig into them. Delegation to either other people or Nouncil or some other entity where they might have some more time or some sort of distributed time amongst the group to focus on these different proposals. But you're right for the feedback aspect and the attention aspect. I definitely feel you on that. I think there's a lot of things that we can do as a ecosystem to help with that. There's been some cool shit that's been proposed, but yeah, it's interesting. It's like my main pain point is just like, are we going to fund more creative projects and more projects that are going to proliferate outwards, or should we like switch it up where we're funding more like tech stuff, like Builder DAO, for example, or I think Federation just passed, which is awesome. Shout out to Wiz and Ripe, for sure. But like do we want to fund more things that are um, used internally and might be more like technical and tech heavy, or do we want to fund like you see right here like TikTok, the Noun Square. Super excited that passed, but I think just a good form of like direction from the people that are voting would be super helpful to proposers overall. On just like, this is a temperature check on like what is what is hot in the streets right now in nouns to like fund. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I do. It's just, I mean, this is just a noun square prop, and it's just there's so much in here. I mean, I find it so difficult. It's not anything against the noun square. I mean, it's doing a lot of things. It's tracking a lot of metrics. It's a complicated proposal. And I mean, I just, even me, I'm pretty engaged. I'm engaged with media here. It's like, this is so daunting for me to look at this and try and make sense of it. Again, that's not a criticism of the noun square or any prop writers, because I've been on that side of this where you want to lay out your vision and you've spent a lot of time pursuing a strategy and you want to show that. Um, Woody, I can't remember if, are you a nouns voter? Do you vote in some way? I think I see you voting, but
Yeah, sorry, my dog's barking in the background. Uh, um, yeah, I'm part of Ugly DAO, which we, a group of people that came together, and we have a few nouns. And yeah, sometimes like I'll get delegated or something, but overall, like I don't own a noun myself.
random question then. Do you know, does Ugly Dow vote its nouns for nouns prop house rounds?
That's a good question. You know, there's a bunch of people in ugly, and I'm not sure that we even make it that far. To be honest, like it's I think it's a pain point overall, right? Especially if you're a group of people that manage a noun or two nouns, like it's even more difficult to vote on something like prop house because then you have to wait. Um, and that's kind of like the fucked up thing, right? Like, and I feel like when Dees came into the community and then he sold his nouns and he was like, man, fuck this shit. It's basically like a job. This shit is crazy. Uh, it kind of is, you know, and that's part of the pain points that we should be focusing on for sure. Um, which is like, do we want to? Does Prop House like want to open up to like have other communities vote on it or something like that, or is there a way to have a certain weight, right, where you can have like food nouns or little toads or whoever come in and vote, but it counts for like a fraction of a vote, and then a noun counts for a vote. But I think it's gonna be real interesting to see where it goes. But yeah, I think in ugly we have a hard enough time just like voting for shit on chain, to be honest, as a group. And prop house is really, you know, maybe make it across the Discord, but I don't know how many people will participate.
You can do vote waiting in prop house. We asked once about it if multiple houses could vote. Actually, I know multiple houses could vote. I'm not sure about the waiting, but I'll look into that because it's an interesting idea, especially with like little nouns and nouns.
I'll say just as a pain point as a proposer in the current prop house round for nouns. Even though I know like there's a lot of ugly DAO people I know from Lil Nouns, including you, Woody, and Al, and it's like it's really hard to figure out how to campaign to get even a single vote. Because I got a sweet prop up, not to show my own bags here, but Index Card and I are doing a live stream just on the theme of keeping nouns weird, and haven't gotten any votes. And I'm trying desperately to find out how where undecided or noun owners who don't vote, how can I go and get their votes? And even for something like Ugly DAO, where I know Ugly DAO people, got crossover, had you on the stream here a couple times. It is a frustration point for me to try and figure out how to campaign for this, super duper small, half an ETH prop.
Yeah, it's interesting, dude. I mean, I really feel like it's almost just prop house is almost just like a popularity contest in a lot of ways where you're investing, and I think this should be the way within nouns as well, right? Like you should be investing in the people, um, and obviously their projects will come secondary to that. But like your example of you wanting to get this funding round for Prop House, I think if you just keep doing what you're doing, people are going to see what you're doing, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool, and then you're going to get votes on Prop House. But I think it's almost secondary to like the actual idea, because once you solidify yourself as a builder in the space, you just have a reputation, and once that reputation is seen, then it's just like, oh yeah, I would totally support Mike Good on whatever he wants to do, because he's like here every fucking day, like spending his time here and like doing the most. So why wouldn't we, unless it's just some crazy ass out of left field prop that doesn't make any sense. But like I think that's what I would say, man. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. People are seeing the stuff you're doing with Little Panda, and it's dope. And even if you don't get that prop house, I would just say keep going, and you'll get there.
Thanks, Woody.
Wow, way to take over the stream to shill your own project, Panda. Jeez.
I know, God, Panda. Guys, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Gotta always be gaming, man. That's the thing about nouns is it's kill or be killed. Like you're either relentless or you're not. And yeah, sometimes I'm just in relentless mode, and I spent a lot of time like tweeting and putting together media and talking to my friends. Like I have a friend who bought a noun who I basically really onboarded him into nouns, worked together. He really trusts me, likes my content. and it's hard to even get him to vote for me in Prop House because he told me like he's spending all his time looking at these on-chain props and he hadn't even thought about Prop House.
Well, tell them to hop in and slam a vote on there for you. First of all, if you haven't gone into Lil Reps, pitch Lil Reps and given the entire breakdown with index card on this, you're missing a big opportunity. I know you are a Lil Rep, so you should abstain from the vote if you want to campaign for this round, but you should still campaign for it. Obviously, we've got 16 votes, as you know, so that literally is we'll make your prop and put it at the very top of the list unless we choose to split our votes this round, which is a possibility. But you should definitely go in and drop like a whole spiel and at least get your eyes on it. I know there's some other people with some good props that are trying to get their eyes on it as well. You are doing this through the nouns prop house, right? Yeah. Did you also
Yeah, I've
put
got
the
a nouns prop and a
uh-huh.
Lil Nouns prop up. And Lil Nouns, I know because I'm in Lil Nouns. I know who to talk to. You voted for me, Mike. I got some good votes. And funny enough, but the Lil Nouns round is bigger. It's 0.63 ETH. But I feel pretty good here. I've got some more votes today. I've got a good handle on Lil Nouns.
Oh, cool. I'll slam a couple more votes. Nice.
I mean, you should be able to campaign for your shit, dude. If you believe in what you're doing, I don't see a reason why there's no rules that say you can't vote for yourself or you can't campaign for yourself if you're still, within an organization. And that those things should be like stated, or people should be able to do whatever they want, Like if I have a proposal that I really believe in, why would I not vote for myself? Especially if you own a noun or you own a little noun, for example, and you're a part of little nouns, like you invested your money and you're investing your time into a brand that you don't own. So like, why wouldn't you be able to vote for your own shit? Like Panda, like if you keep doing what you're doing and say you blow up and you become a personality and your little panda is like getting millions of views, like you don't own Little Panda. Like you might own the website, but like you don't own the IP of the panda. Like you're every waking moment of what you're doing is like promoting little nouns and nouns. So I don't understand why you wouldn't be able to vote on your own prop if you're investing your time, energy, and money into the ecosystem and doing good work.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's definitely a layered conversation. Um because there are different gradients, right? Like if I'm a little rep where I'm elected and it's like a smaller group, I feel like there's sort of different kind of level of transparency there. Um, and yeah, I'm happy to go along with what the group wants. I'm not, Mike. I know you think I should abstain. I talked to other people who said kind of what Woody said, and if it's close, I think I'm gonna just do kind of the more gracious thing. But um, yeah, certainly for my tokens, like if I myself owned a noun, or for example, I own little nouns, I don't have qualms about voting for myself with my own tokens because I own those. Um, I think that for people for whom that's controversial, I think you're sort of missing a big part of DAOs. But I do understand the arguments about you take a position as a little rep, you get paid, you have sort of different duties. I do think there's definitely something there. Um, Mike, do you have any other thoughts on that? Or we can also talk about this another time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I honestly, I'm torn on it, right? Like, and I'm really torn on it. Like, I throw myself votes obviously in like a prop house round, but when it came time to like vote on low reps, I like didn't throw myself any votes because like I wanted the community to like select me as a little rep, not like myself, right? It is a bigger conversation, I think, though, just in general, because when I hear other people's perspectives, like I can be swayed, like for sure. I change my mind all the time. But like it does bring up like another question just about like general DAOs and like Builder DAO, for example, like especially with a lot of new DAOs forming, and like a lot of quick token accumulation, or like a lot of like whales, because like, you know, when you've only sold 100 tokens, maybe 20 of them have gone to like one person, and they now own 20% of the supply, right, or something. So I guess the question is like a little bit bigger, like should people be then, you know, putting up props for, you know, a good percentage of the treasury and voting for themselves? Should they be abstaining in that sense? Like what's etiquette, like DAO etiquette? Someone needs to write the book on DAO etiquette, you know? What do you guys think?
It just depends, man. Like, you know, if you're for little reps, for example, like if you're expected to not be able to put any props up essentially during your time doing little reps, then you should be compensated more for those type of things, in my opinion, right? Because it's like, for me, it all just comes down to like time and energy. So, what are you spending your time on, and how are you being compensated for your time and energy? If you're doing little reps, for example, if that means that you essentially cannot have a prop up or have a prop house up, rather, then like you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if that's something that you want to do. So you shouldn't be doing little reps at that point. Or little reps should be thinking about that and being like, yo, during this period, you cannot vote for yourself. Therefore, this is the compensation that you're getting, and it works like that, right? Because otherwise, I think it should just be open game. Like if you're building some dope shit and the community sees that you're voting for dope shit, even if you're in low reps and you're like, I want to vote for my prop, everybody else is gonna be like, yeah, like if it's not cool, people are just gonna be like, okay, cool, man. Like you still have to get the overwhelming like votes. Oh, what are those looking like? I haven't even checked those out.
Oh, spicy.
Give me the deets. I gotta run in a second, but give me the details.
I don't even know. Wait, what is it looking like right now, Panda? So we're, wait, 383 yes?
Yeah, like this is gonna pass if nobody.
No. Hold it. Oh, that's just Will. Okay, Will voted.
This is like the buying of nouns.
Yeah.
160 ETH, yeah.
Let it rip.
I'm not even worried about it. Dot already voted no against the earlier one. You saw the nouns acquisition one?
No, I haven't seen it. I just saw the two options.
Yeah, we had a larger prop for nouns acquisition just like 2 props ago, and it was about to pass. In the last couple minutes, the little nounders came in and voted no on it. We thought we were about to buy another noun. So I'm sure they'll kind of come in and use their vote as like a veto. These were just to spark conversation, and we've been having.
I mean, yeah, kinda. But shout out to Prof for making it happen, because honestly, I think it's something that needs to be addressed. You know, it's a really interesting conversation that within low nouns has been happening since the beginning of time, and still goes on to this day. You know, it's kind of like it's interesting, right? Because I look at little toads and I look at little nouns and how they're both kind of like little versions of a project. And that's why when I did little nouns or little toads, I was just like, dude, we're just gonna build cryptodes shit. Like I don't give a fuck about it. Could be even like build little toad stuff, but it's all for cryptodes. It has nothing to do with, you know, Lil Toads as a brand and as like a thing. And I think Lil Nouns never really had that statement because it's just this open DAO structure. And I think it's important to know that, right? Because it's like, what are we doing? Are we funding builders or are we buying more nouns? And if we're buying more nouns, then are we incubating props to bring the nouns for for builders, or are builders just like non-existent?
Yo,
Look at
Look
this.
at this.
Mike Good's on chain here with this IRL Lil Nouns waiting
Dope.
to his
Yeah, I love
props.
it.
Will Price who already voted yes. Look at that. You're already up above quorum.
Love it.
Yo, Will Price, thank you. This isn't my prop. I'm sponsoring it. And I saw an opportunity here. It's to build something really fucking cool for 4E. 4E to build 2 of those bus sheds. Now, why? Because they're in the Philippines. It's going to get produced at like a low cost. It's a chance for us to pilot something here at Lil Nouns on a small scale. And the team actually made a really great graphic that they followed up with today in the Lil Nouns chat, where it's kind of like, hey, this is like a pilot. And if this works out well and everyone likes it, like maybe there will be a larger prop in the future where we do graduate this up to Nouns and we spread these things all around the globe. So yeah, it's like a low ask to pilot something pretty cool. We'll probably get some great footage out of it, some good pictures. And I can't wait to see what they do. Wow, I'm excited for them. And Boss J is totally sleeping right now, so he's going to wake up freaking out over the votes because he was very nervous this morning when it went up on chain. Very nervous.
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm definitely a yes on this. I love this idea. I totally agree with you, Mike. It's 2 ETH per shed. It's such a small cost. And I think, if this thing works and they build it well, it's going to stand for, how long does a bus shed like this last? This could be up for 50 years, right? I love the idea of us telling a story with this as kind of the centerpiece about helping people, about providing something. I love what we can do with art or displays. I'm definitely a yes on this. Thanks for putting this up, Mike.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm torn on this whole controversy because I want to see cool stuff get built for sure. Right now we're, I don't know how far we want to get into this, maybe just like a couple minutes, but like right now we're a 50-50 split, nouns and building. 53% of our treasury from June of last year to the end of December till January 1st was spent on nouns. 47% was spent on everything else. The majority of that was towards operational tech and residencies, and then like prop house and discretional funding routes, which went to like further breaking down for builders. And then there were about 50 other props or something like that. One of them was my project, right? Nouns 101. So I definitely want to see us spend the rest of our ETH in like a really, to proliferate for sure. I think we do have enough nouns for now. I agree with Dot on that. We had a big conversation earlier in the week. I think a couple you guys caught like the tail end of it or hopped in for a while. But yeah, I think like we have enough nouns. I love the nouns because now we're able to put our builders in a position to win prop houses, and we're able to have our nouns pay for themselves a little bit, right? Every time we fund a builder, I was funded through our nouns in the first low reps round when for composables, right? Like Bit Nouns got 4 additional ETH to become composable. And that really helped our team out with building. So like our nouns are definitely paying for themselves. And I see that when we put one of our builders up top. I think it's really cool that Panda and Index Card are in a dual prop together. I think that will be really attractive for the little reps also. It's like fund 2 of our little builders at the same time if we go with them. So we have a way to like make like to use our nouns. We just need to like establish a better process, really cement it out, and then figure out a way to spend the rest of our ETH like proliferating in small ways with large impact, like Lil Nouns big impact type of a motto. Just so we don't overspend, because right now we are spending more than we bring in on a monthly basis. And that might not be a bad thing, but like at what rate do we want to do that? And like at how much and for how long? Until we start coming up with some like revenue generating ideas. And I think we should do some prop house rounds around that, like come up with ideas to generate revenue. We have an open round right now, and some people have already proposed revenue generating ideas in the open round. We didn't even have to make it a mandate because people knew that that's kind of becoming a requirement for ideas to pass here. By Hardy put up a really cool one that's up at the top alongside Panda's idea. A couple others, there's like a cool like t-shirt or clothing brand. They want to do a revenue share with Lil Nouns. So a lot of different opportunities coming up, which I think are cool. But anyway, yeah, it's a really interesting topic. We're seeing Lil Nouns has sold enough tokens. Nouns, it will take Nouns 21 years to sell as many tokens as Lil Nouns has sold today. So it's pretty interesting when you look at it like that. Like we are the future almost, and Nouns might be having these same conversations and, like 10, 20 years from now. Or who knows? Maybe we're just totally different. But yeah, that's my take.
Or 2 months from now.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, Woody, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I hear your dog barking. Probably wants to go out for a walk. My dog certainly wants to go out. It's 6:09 here now. Anything else you wanna give the listeners on the?
Let's call it if we can. Just we got to run, Woody. Thank you so much for joining us, Woody. Super tight Woody, Little Toads Dow, Ugly Dow, Noun Sounds, TNS. All the stuff. We'll see you around the Nouniverse. Mike, we'll see you next time too. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks, y'all.
Insert air horn. Later.
Bow.